Welcome back, everyone. Today's explainer dives into something absolutely wild in the world of AI safety. We're tackling a profound, literally immovable boundary in cognitive architecture. We're looking at a framework called FGSGR. That's frequency-governed self-graph reasoning, and zeroing in on a fascinating limit known as the P times P error floor. Basically, we're going to explore the exact, mathematically measured limits of what an AI system can actually know to be true. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so think about this terrifying paradox for a second. How can a perfectly logical AI look at absolute fiction and believe it with 99.6% confidence? I mean, we usually assume that if an AI's internal reasoning is logically flawless, right, its conclusion has to be highly reliable. But the documentation on the FGSGR framework actually reveals a critical, massive vulnerability in how artificial intelligence processes information. During internal testing, researchers hit what they call the fabrication ceiling. Get this, they found that if you feed an AI just 6 completely made-up observations, as long as they don't contradict each other and they pass internal structural checks, the AI will buy into a totally false conclusion with 99.6% certainty. It's perfectly logical, but completely blind to reality. A confident error that never contradicts itself is, well, totally invisible to all internal layers. It's wild.
Which brings us to Section 1. The law of P times P.
So to understand why this happens, we really have to look at the math, specifically the redundant verifier law. It tells us something absolutely crucial. If your AI verifiers share the exact same blind spot, adding a million more of them just won't help. In this formula, P is the base probability that a single verifier makes an error, and rho is the inter-judge correlation, the shared systematic blind spots across your entire ensemble. You can add as many replica verifiers as you want to try and catch errors, but as they approach infinity, your total error doesn't hit zero. No way. It hits a hard wall. It plateaus exactly at rho times P. That is your irreducible residual, the absolute P times P error floor.
And this is the core maxim of the whole project. You can try to push the error around, sure, but the P times P floor is an architectural constant that you simply cannot delete. You can train better experts to lower your P or try to decorrelate your verifiers through model diversity to lower rho, but neither number ever reaches zero. Every honest safety or inference layer merely relocates a residual it fundamentally cannot remove. It's always there.
Moving on to Section 2, verifying inference, not reality.
To really grasp this, think of it like building a bridge. The AI can perfectly verify the structural integrity of the steel. It makes sure the reasoning graph is deduplicated, acyclic, meaning, it doesn't loop back on itself in circular logic, and logically sound. But it cannot verify if the bridge is being built on solid rock or quicksand. The internal validators ensure that evidence is handled correctly, but they can't verify if that evidence actually exists out there in grounding reality. Basically, the system verifies inference, not premises.
And here's where it gets really crazy. This boundary is totally universal. It pops up exactly the same way whether we're talking about physical spatial sensors or large language model syllogisms. For instance, in the spatial projection layer, an autonomous sensor literally can't distinguish between an adversary jamming its signal and a legitimate environmental regime change. Or look at the distillation layer. Student models suffer from poison inheritance, swallowing their teacher's errors at a massive 98% probability once they have enough capacity. It is the exact same shared vulnerability, the P times P floor, manifesting across every single layer of the architecture. It's like a ghost in the machine.
So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, there's this very specific number, 0.012. This is the measured plateau where accuracy simply stops improving, no matter how much you tweak the prompt framing. When the team ran tests on the LLM trace bridge to verify premises, they hit a per-judge error of 0.077 and an interframing correlation of 0.153. Multiply those together and boom, you get a hard P times P floor of about 0.012. You can try to vary the prompts to create framing diversity, but because those prompts all share the same training data biases, you cannot cross this 0.012 floor. It's mathematically impenetrable from the inside.
Which brings us to Section 3. Piercing the math floor. The engineers obviously didn't just throw up their hands and give up. To fight back against this invisible culprit, they created 2 main weapons to squeeze out every drop of accuracy possible. First is the multi-trace fusion verifier. This distills a conclusion through many independent traces, fusing their beliefs together. It's brilliant because it raises the fused decision accuracy all the way up to the P times P floor, but no higher because, again, a shared misconception is the one thing fusion cannot fix. The second weapon is the routed verifier, acting like a dispatcher.
It looks at a conclusion, routes general reasoning to fusion, but sends formally checkable math out for special treatment.
All of this builds up to the lambda band. Because internal consistency checks can never verify a premise, the system uses a formal verification overlay. By using automated math-proof software, like SymPy or Lean4, it steps entirely outside the correlated reasoning of the AI's neural network. It assigns hard, verified, refuted, or uncheckable verdicts to algebraic claims. It operates completely orthogonal to the AI's calibrated belief.
The power of this overlay is captured perfectly in one incredible test run. The system processed a conclusion that looked highly confident, sitting at a strong belief score of 0.838. The local arithmetic was entirely structurally correct. Everything looked perfect internally. But the lambda verifier flagged as tainted. Why? Because it caught the quicksand. It caught the completely false premise underneath. This is the one mechanism in the architecture that verifies a premise, not just its consistency. It's the glorious exception that pierces the P times P floor, catching the quicksand exactly where the math allows it.
So this creates the ultimate live path for the system. Step 1, parse real live model reasoning into a structured trace. Step 2, fuse those diverse traces together using the redundant verifier law to raise accuracy all the way up to that irreducible P times P floor. Step 3, pierce that floor using formal mathematical verification anywhere the claims are actually checkable. And Step 4, route the data per conclusion and honestly name the floor. Every single certificate the system generates states exactly what mathematical floor its answer rests on, no pretending.
And that leads us perfectly to Section 4, the price of the residual. Now, you might be wondering, is this all just theoretical math? No way! It is practically applied right now in a live verification console. This active in-browser pipeline processes genuinely live output from real models, like a live Claude call, for example. It parses the data, applies band tags, runs exact belief propagation, checks the math via Lambda, and spits out routed verification certificates. It catches those false premises in real time, converting the prose of a language model, which, let's be honest, you usually just have to trust wholesale, into a typed, band-tagged knowledge graph that is fully auditable.
So, I want to leave you with this profound truth straight from the research. A safe AI system isn't one that pretends it can verify reality perfectly. Instead, it's one that is mathematically honest about the exact price of its blind spots. The framework is exact where it counts, honest about the one thing no internal check can reach, the truth of premises, and precise about the price of that residual, the P times P floor all the way down. So as we integrate AI deeper into physical sensors, aerospace systems, and complex logical governance, we really have to ask ourselves, are we building systems that assume they know the truth, or systems brave enough to mathematically measure their own capacity for fiction? Think about that.